And that was it. It was Usyk again, and the Ukrainians left Riyadh extremely happy. Everybody had their own take on it. I was sitting with producer Ed, and beside me was Gareth A. Davis, of course. Beside him was Spencer Oliver. And David Hay muscled buys and said, it's so hard to call it. He said, I just take Usyk by a round, but Usyk won it. Usyk won it. The bigger question is, Simon, has Usyk got Britain's number? And I mean by that, he's beaten Fury twice. He's beaten AJ twice. He's beaten Tony Bellew. He's beaten Daniel Dubois.
Yeah.
He's beaten Derek Chisora.
Yeah.
There's nobody left to beat as far as the Brits are concerned.
But what that tells you, what's actually reassuring about that, is that once upon a time we were the laughing stock of the heavyweight division. Our heavyweights were spent more time vertically. Horizontally, and Lennox Lewis and Frank Bruno corrected some of that. But go back to the 70s when you had Brian London and you had Joe Bugner and a few other people like that. We were kind of ridiculed. So the fact that all the best fighters are ultimately the British ones that he's beating tells you where we are in the great pantheon of boxing right now. Look, he is a great fighter, and it takes a great fighter to beat him, and no one has yet. Fury, for me, didn't do enough to win the fight, but I don't think he won the fight, but I don't think he lost. I thought he drew. So I think I can have some sympathy with Tyson Fury. But Usyk, again, I keep making the point, and it's not to be mean-spirited. I don't think he likes big punchers. Yeah. He doesn't like people that... Someone's got to work really hard with Usyk. Someone's got to be really focused, and I suppose, to coin an expression someone's just sent me, fighting a red line all the way, because that's what Usyk does. Yeah. He fights in the red line, and someone with a big... Because he doesn't like big punches. Yeah. He didn't like what Daniel Dubois did to him in that fight, albeit Daniel Dubois wasn't quite competent enough to be able to deliver it. I think Usyk is beatable. I know this will sound like I'm being mean-spirited about it, but I think someone has got to be really at their game. Yeah. And Fury, at 36 years of age, that doesn't live his life the right way, that probably is on the other side of his optimum levels, wasn't the test that Usyk will have to be taken over with.
It's incredible, Martin, that the reputation that Usyk commands outside the Kingdom Arena about 2:30 a.m. I spoke to his manager. You can hear this just at the bottom of the hour from 10:30 onwards, Alex Krasiuk, who was number one, exhausted, but B, very relieved. And he spoke about his great pride in this fella, Alexander Usyk, and he had a tear in his eyes. He spoke about it. You'll hear that very shortly. But of course, now, before we speak further about Usyk, all the big questions are: what is next for Tyson Fury? Is it going to be retirement, or is it about Joshua? And I think many people out there this morning now hope that the fact that Joshua lost to Dubois and that Tyson has now lost again to Usyk means that this could be set up, that the two could actually meet. Fury, Joshua. Are we going to see it? Anyway, Fury was asked, what is next?
What's next for me? I'm going home. I'm having some time off, for sure.
Are we going to see you fight again?
You might do. You might not do. Who knows? We'll talk about that next year.
Let him have a nice rest.
You might see me. You might not see me again.
That's fair enough.
I think we'll see him again, Martin. I do.
Yeah, he's a proud man, isn't he? His ego would have been dented. The fact that he didn't have anything to say afterwards almost says it all. Of course, he came back with things to say later in the day. He's been a great champion. I just think this is his nemesis here. I think this guy, his IQ is too good. He gets in close. Once he's sorted that out, midway through the fight, he was too good for him. And he hasn't got that kind of big punch anymore. It doesn't seem to have that venom. Yeah. And his tank, really, I mean, he's older Usyk's older than him, so we can't look at age. We do age in different ways as sportsmen. It looks as if Fury now is his best is behind him. Yeah. And it would be nice, really, in a way, to see him bow out and be proud of what he's achieved, but I don't think so somehow. I think he's going to have to one last fight.
Do you want to see AJ against Fury, Simon?
Honestly, not particularly. The battle of the losers, in terms of, they both come off the back of defeats. They're no longer, they have the prestige they once had before. I like my boxing with jeopardy and with meaning, not with bragging rights and finances. And so if the idea that most other sports have a participation element, so if you're in the Premier League, you want to get in the Champions League, so finishing fourth is an achievement. This is the boxing equivalent of that. There's nothing on the end of it besides everybody making sure that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua get a big payday, and someone gets the bragging rights about two fighters that on the other side. Joshua has just been cleaned out by Daniel Dubois, lost twice to Usyk.
Yeah.
Fury has been beaten twice by Usyk now. He's had not a meaningful fight. He chose to go the path he went down the path. He decided to fight Ngannou, decided to fight Derek Chisora. Neither one of those fights prepared him for Usyk. He's reaped the whirlwind of it. And so looking at it, no, I don't care. I understand why people want to see it, and I get it. And I suspect if it were on, I'd probably watch it. But am I clamouring to watch Fury versus Joshua in a fight that has no meaning behind it besides bragging?
Why is it? Is that because it's 5 years too late?
Yeah, that's it. These two guys are no longer at the pinnacle of boxing.
Fury doesn't want this fight, does he? Fury doesn't want this fight, really. The problem for him is his addictive personality. He's addicted to boxing. He used boxing to almost save his life.
And that's something he's going to have to reconcile in his own mind, isn't it? Because at some point, he's going to have to get past the fact that boxing at 45 years of age, he's not going to be boxing anymore unless he wants to do what George Foreman did. And I suspect that probably won't happen for Fury. So at some point in his life, he's going to have to find something other than boxing, and that might be difficult for him. But I look at it now and I can understand the clamour for it. I can understand the economics of it. I can see that Frank and Eddie will make a pile out of it, so it'll happen. Turki Al-Sheikh will probably want to make it happen because it gives everybody something to look at. But as far as a fight's concerned, what is it for?
Well, you remember you and I went to the Northwest, Manchester. We saw Amir Khan, Kell Brook.
Yeah.
Now, was that too late? I don't think so, because it was still a hell of a night and a great atmosphere and a great fight.
Yeah, I get it. Absolutely, and ultimately I understand the dynamics of it. Again, that was a fight to nothing. There was nothing behind it. There was nothing on it besides Kell Brook and Amir Khan settling a score. And when we saw Amir Khan on the stage, we knew what we were getting. Amir Khan came on the stage and didn't want any of this fight, and had trouble getting out of his dressing room, if you remember.
Yes,
and made Kell Brook change his gloves in the ring. That was a level of competitivity in that fight. I don't think you'll see this in Joshua versus Fury, but I'm not in the camp. It's not my job, I don't think, to give Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury 100 million quid.
No.
For a fight that has no real meaning besides the bragging rights of the two guys that have lost their world titles.
Joshua wins, maybe goes back in with Usyk one more time.
Maybe. What I can tell you, Martin, was on the flight overnight, there were a lot of Fury fans flying back, and many of them were saying, honestly, 116, 112, I don't think so. But there was a realisation that their man had lost. And he did lose, and they witnessed it for themselves. But then it got on to Fury Joshua, and quite a number were saying, still want to see that. So would you want to see that? Fight fans out there this Monday morning, give us a call on that. Is there still legs in that fight for you? Is it one that you still desperately want to see, in spite of what happened to AJ against Dubois, in spite of what happened on Saturday night in Riyadh to Tyson against Usyk? You still want to see AJ against Fury? 03717 223344. Give us a call on that. And I'm determined to hear about Simon's skateboard.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.